Hello Bitsfruit, this is Craig from bitsbox.co.uk here, and it's really hot. In the UK right now, it's boiling. I've had to turn my fans off to record this, and yeah, I know people outside the UK might not understand, but our houses are not designed for this. They're designed to keep as much heat in as possible, and yeah, it's boiling. It feels like death. And speaking of death, that brings us nicely into the topic of this video. So, I recently sold my Bretonnian army, because I want to make a Bretonnian army. So my new Bretonnian army is actually going to be based off Mousillon. I think it's Mousillon. And there's like a sort of corrupted death. Yeah, really cool. I think good sort of kitbashing ideas, and you'll see in this video. So yeah, sort of death-themed Bretonnians. And I know technically in the old world fluff, they're not quite corrupted at this stage of the story yet, but I don't care. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time. I've had ideas brewing. And in this one, I'm doing a battle standard bearer on Pegasus. And yeah, I can't wait to show you guys because it's came out really awesome. So let's hit the desk. I'll show you how I made it. So, of course, we're just going to start with the battle standard bearer on Pegasus. And I've built them up this much. I've left the head off. I've left the wings off. And I've put the rider on there with part of his body, but we are going to chop that away. And yeah, I've got this. I can't remember what it's called. I got this from the Nighthaunt. I bought it off eBay, so it's a bit worse for wears. It's broken off its base. Some of the bits on the top, as you can see, are broken off as well. But I'm not really too fussed about sort of a candle flame on his head. But yeah, the head is where we're going to start. And I'm bringing in my trusty GW clippers for this. And probably would have been better to use a hobby saw, but I have no idea what happened to mine. So I'll sort of start by removing them chains. I'll replace them with some actual chain later on. And yeah, the head come off quite nicely. It's going to fit in the gap on the other Pegasus, and I can do any sort of gap filling that's needed. So yeah, you can see there it's slightly smaller than the original head, but not by much, so it's not really noticeable. It looks fine, especially if the camera could focus on it. So that's going to sit in there, but I will need to fill that gap because it's just completely hollow in the body of this miniature. I'm also going to take one of the legs off here as well. So I want the sort of horses in this army to be sort of like zombie horses or a bit zombified. And yeah, I think swapping this leg out would sort of help with that as well. I don't want to just go full sort of skeletal horses all the way through. I might do for some. But yeah, I quite like sort of the idea of like zombie horses. That the horses have sort of fallen to corruption as well. So the head is on. And I'm just going to put a little bit of modelling chain around the neck to replace the chain that was missing. The rider's not going to be holding on to it, as I've got ideas for both of his hands already, one of which will be holding the banner, would you believe? And yeah, so I just dip one end of a chain in super glue, let that dry, and then go around and do the same around the other end until we get something that looks like this. So now I think it's time to remove that top bit of the body. Now I was going to replace the entire rider, but the legs just fit on really nicely. If I put a different rider on, he sort of ended up leaning back. So I weren't too keen on that. And these legs are pretty nice, so they work. And I'm going to be using this body. This is from, I think it was Manfred. And so obviously you can make 3 different heroes in that set. So yeah, you get some nice bits left over. But I do need to just chop his crotch off. So I'm very sorry, mate. You're being neutered. But don't worry, you got a nice new pair of legs. And yeah, this actually fits on surprisingly well. Not 100% perfect, as nothing Kitbashed ever really is. But it does line up pretty good, as you can sort of see here. So yeah, really happy with how that fits. And it's a really cool body as well. Obviously, this isn't going to turn out to be the cheapest Kitbashers, but it's one of them sets where you do have bits left over. And yeah, I'm also going to take this cloak, but I want to cut it down, get at least sort of spirit hosts off there. I don't really want any sort of like much Nighthaunt-y stuff in this army. Not really, so anything sort of spirit hosts and stuff like that. And of course the cloak on his miniature is really large. Because he is from quite a large miniature. So it does need just chopping down a little bit. But I couldn't not have it, because it is really cool. And after that's been chopped down and glued on, he is looking like this and really coming together quite nicely. So next up is the wings, and I was going to leave this till the end, but I'm actually glad I didn't. So yeah, just going back to this Nighthaunt miniature again. I say I don't want things too Nighthaunty, but I'm using a lot of bits from this one Nighthaunt miniature, but I'm not going with all the ghosty sort of bits. But these wings are just perfect. They're so good. Again, there'll be a little bit of gap filling to try and get them to fit, and I apologise for going out of shot there. But yeah, as you can see, if I fill that gap, I can get them to sit on quite nicely. They're a good size. I mean, both these miniatures are fairly similar size, so they kitbash together well. So yeah, I've just put some putty in the gap. I'm going to put some polycement around the edges where plastic meets plastic, and hope for the best. And to be fair, after leaving it for a while to dry, just propped up, it did glue on really nicely. So here's how he's looking with the wings on the Pegasus. And speaking of wings, I've got this arm that I 3D printed that I'm going to give to him. I like the idea of him sort of half mutating or half transforming into a bat or something. And I think these arms would work really well as like to represent a shield. I don't know if this miniature actually has a shield, but I think it's quite cool. So I've also got this little skeleton here, and this is going to be holding up our banner. So I really love the old Forge World White King with banner, and I would have loved to have used that banner, but I just could not find that miniature. But I will be keeping an eye out for it because I want to use it in this army at some point. But that has like 3 skeletons holding the banner up, and I'm just going to have one here. This is using parts from the old Death Rattle skeletons. Obviously they've now been updated, so it's a good way to use the bits. And yeah, I'm using a Chaos Warrior banner pole in the middle, and then I've also got these Skull Crusher spears, I think they're from. And I'm going to be using the bottom parts of these as well. And yeah, they work really well. And just as luck would have it, I just spotted some lying around in my own personal spares. Normally I plan out a lot of these kit bashes in advance and sort of work out what bits I'm going to use, but these I just sort of saw and thought I have to use them. So they're going to go either side of this piece of pole, like so. And for the banner, this is one that I actually made myself, and I'm going to use some green stuff just to attach the hands to the banner and over the back. And yeah, so it'll look like he's holding the banner up. Now this banner was designed with a little bit of help from AI. I did have to do quite a lot of work myself to get all the stitches in. I actually made each individual stitch, but just to get the basic shape, I drew out a shape myself, and then just got AI to turn it into an image that I could then turn into a 3D STL. So full disclosure there, I will be completely transparent, because I have thought about selling them, but I don't know, I'm always a bit sketchy when it comes to AI, even though I did spend a lot of time sort of redefining it and getting it perfect myself. So, I mean, I put way more work into it than AI did, that's for sure. So anyway, right here I'm chopping the hand off, and I do actually end up chopping the whole arm off. My original thought was to maybe chop the arm at a slight angle and then use a Chaos Warrior's holding the banner pole, but the hand is just way too big and I can't really get the angle I want. So in the end, I'm using an arm from a Chaos Marauder Horseman. The banner pole for them is too short and too slim, so I'm actually still going to use the Chaos Warriors one. Now it is slightly thicker than the hand holding it, so if you really look close it does look a bit silly, but you know what, I don't care. I can't really get away with any other banner pole. They're all just going to be a bit too weedy. It's quite a chunky banner to hold up, although it will be sitting on top of the wings for extra support. And yeah, the Chaos Marauder Horseman arm actually works really well. It's just the perfect size. And yeah, that's going to go on there like so. And you can see like the gap, like where it joins, is almost seamless. Like even the muscles line up really well. So time for his head now, and just one from the Blood Knights. That's some really cool head options, and that's one that we had left in stock, so I used it. And it's a good head, actually. I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, the banner's going to sit on top there like so. I apologise that the angle's a bit weird, but it's quite hard to sort of film and do. I'm going to glue it to the wings and to the pole as well, so for that extra stability. And then I had no idea what to do for the front bit. The original shield was just a bit too big to fit on with this head. And I don't know why I'm trying to move this around with a knife, but I do eventually put this shield on. This one is just from the Knights of the Realm, I think. So it's slightly smaller than the original one. But I couldn't really find a suitable icon or skull or something to put there. But that'll do. And with that, he is done. And yeah, I'm so happy with this miniature. Now, you might look at it and think that banner is way over the top. But for me, I just love a massive banner for a BSB. I just think the bigger the better when it comes to them. I just want them to stand out massively on the battlefield. So yeah, but if we do sell this banner, which we might, I have printed various different sizes. I just think he's turned out really well. I'm very happy with him and I'm very excited to paint him. I've got loads of ideas for this army. I've actually working on like Grail Reliquary proxy, and we've had some really cool heads made for the, I guess you'd say crew that go with that, the rabble. So yeah, that's going to be cool. They're all going to be sort of like swampy druids. So that's going to be really awesome. And do follow us on our social media if you want to see anything that I end up painting and building and stuff like that. Follow this channel for more kitbashers. I might do some more kitbashers for this army. Well, I certainly will, and I'll probably film some as well. I've got some ideas brewing for a Green Knight and Knights on Foot. I've got some ideas as well. So yeah, you'll probably see them on the channel, whether it's in long form or shorts in the future. But I hope you have enjoyed this one. It's been an absolute blast to make it. Can't wait to paint it. And yeah, if you have any ideas for any kitbashers that you'd like to see me do, or any ideas for this army, then do let me know in the comments. I always love hearing people's suggestions, and I do read every comment and I try to answer as many as possible as well. So yeah, like and subscribe and all that jazz, and I'll see you all again in the next video.